Taylor was born into a wealthy family, but he was unhappy. Throughout his childhood, his father had been overly strict with him, suppressing any desire the child had and any spending he deemed unnecessary. Even the most innocent of pranks resulted in immediate punishment. Taylor's father, a businessman named Albert, kept a close eye on his wife, Carmen, so that she wouldn't overindulge her son. Since his parents did not want him to have a different education than children from ordinary families, the boy attended a regular, modest school. Taylor was the son of his father's first marriage, which did not work out. Carmen was under the impression that her husband's first marriage had been for convenience because she herself was not as rich as the previous one and was still in her formative years in the business world. Taylor loved Carmen but was unable to do the same for his own son. The father never celebrated the child's victories, always expecting more from him. Throughout his childhood, little Taylor tried to be recognized by his father and earn some praise from him to make Albert proud of the son he had. But it was in vain because the father never held back, and no matter how happy he pretended to be, he was always critical. Carmen stood silently watching the boy's futile efforts, but did not intervene because she had come to realize that her husband had a steel heart. She hoped that one day the boy would be recognized by his father. Taylor graduated from an elite university at the age of 25, but not even the passage of time could make Albert notice or believe in the boy's abilities and knowledge. After a lengthy discussion in which Taylor demanded and begged for more responsibility in the family business, the businessman decided to give his son a chance. Taylor served as the director of one of the company's subsidiaries for 5 months, but the subsidiary chosen by Albert was one of the most problematic and least profitable in the group. Nonetheless, Taylor was overjoyed and promised to do everything in his power to improve the unit's finances. Taylor had no idea how bad things were there, despite his excitement at taking on the role of director. What he didn't realize at the time was that this move would forever alter the course of his life. When the new graduate arrived at the Texas subsidiary, he discovered that, in addition to monthly losses, the Human Resources Department was fighting a major battle with employee turnover. Work piled up every time an employee gave his 2 weeks' notice, as responsibilities fell on the tired backs of colleagues who remained with the company. Taylor, however, defied all odds, arriving at his new office with a broad smile, a stack of files, and a perfectly tailored suit. He quickly realized what was going on and the challenges he would face, but the desire to prove to his father that he was valuable spoke much louder. Taylor gathered the employees before beginning his management and explained what his mission was and what he expected from each of the teams. He then evaluated each employee's productivity and made it clear to all of them how they should put in their best in their areas of specialization to move the company in the right direction. He managed to motivate and inspire some of the professionals he met, and they later demonstrated their best qualities. Gradually, Taylor's plans to get the subsidiary out of the crisis became a reality. Taylor had only one loyal companion who brightened his days in that office and in that city, where he arrived, knowing nothing or anyone. Her name was Sophia, and she was a cleaning lady. She was friendly and easygoing, and she knew all of the employees by name. Everyone liked her, which piqued Taylor's interest even more. He felt more at ease than usual when he was by her side. It was only in her company that he used to vent about his faults, failures, and difficulties. Taylor learned that she had begun her studies in economics at a community college in Texas, but had to drop out. He also didn't know much about the girl. Taylor went to Sophia one day after everyone had left, and he had stayed late. "You always pay attention to me, you know, and I really appreciate it. I believe I can trust you, but I don't know anything about you. So, if you need any help, please let me know." Sophia then said that she didn't have much to say about herself and that, in terms of assistance, what she really needed was a miracle. Taylor was intrigued by the statement and inquired further. Sophia was hesitant at first, but eventually told him that her mother had been ill for some time. Her condition necessitated her staying at home and receiving round-the-clock care. Surgery would have solved the problem, but they lacked the necessary funds. That's how Taylor found out why the girl had to drop out of college and take the first job she could find. The pay was decent, and the hours were flexible enough that Sophia could be home whenever she needed to. "Sophia, I had no idea you were going through this. Even more so because you're doing it alone," Taylor stated. In fact, the young director had only seen the woman work efficiently never complaining or even being late. She was dealing with serious problems, but she remained strong. Taylor then reaffirmed his commitment to her, saying that if she needed anything, she only needed to talk to him. After all, she was also a great help to him as a good listener and confidante. Sophia was grateful that Taylor had shown himself to be a more open and pleasant person than one would expect from the son of the company president. Conversations like these between the two of them continued over the next few days. Taylor would stay late after everyone else had left the office to review documents, answer emails, and do whatever work was required to get ahead the next day. And it was usually during these hours that Sophia could work the best, without disturbing anyone on the desks with brooms, cleaning products, and dustbins. They felt connected and became increasingly intimate. Taylor would be happier when he arrived at work in the morning and saw that Sophia was also there. Despite the fact that she had not yet graduated, it was clear that she was articulate and intelligent, having mastered business concepts and terminology. Taylor attempted to reduce his friend's workload, but she flatly refused, unwilling to benefit in this way. Just because she had become friends with the director did not mean she should take advantage of his kindness. Meanwhile, things at the subsidiary continued to improve significantly. Taylor's father, Albert, was not very involved and did not want to interfere in the 5-month experiment he had proposed. But he had been observing his son's work all this time, and the results had finally caught his attention, so he decided to put his son to the test once more. During a seemingly routine morning, Albert contacted Taylor to inform him that he had found a new partner whose collaboration promised significant profits. Albert couldn't help himself, and despite seeing his son's success, he delivered the news by questioning his son's ability to close this critical deal for the company. Albert felt satisfied when he noticed Taylor was hesitant and nervous about the opportunity. He managed to put the young man in his place and tense him up once more. Finally, Albert said that everything was now in Taylor's hands and smiled mischievously as he closed the meeting. Mr. Olafsson was his father's new business partner. Olafsson was well known in the business community for his cold decision-making. To work with him, you had to have a strong stomach and a lot of confidence because the man made all of his decisions based solely on numbers and results. Taylor did not brag. Despite passing his father's test at the Texas subsidiary with flying colors, he realized there was still much he didn't know and had to learn. But he didn't let his father's threat scare him, preferring to believe that he would find the right way and the right words to deal with the situation. The atmosphere between the teams became very friendly as the company's financial indicators showed success that the subsidiary had not seen in many years. Taylor was less tense and concerned about Albert's recognition. His main concern was now Mr. Olafsson. He was a father of 3 children who was deeply committed to his family. As a result, he had more faith in other businessmen and women who were married like him because a businessman who cared about his family would be more committed to seeing the business succeed. Taylor knew he couldn't sit at the same table as Mr. Olafsson by himself, and he wouldn't have time to marry until the meeting. It was up to the young director to find a suitable candidate to play his wife, and all Taylor could think of was Sophia. The rest of the subsidiary staff would be astounded when they found out. Why would the director bring the cleaning lady to such a crucial meeting, which President Albert had arranged? What if his father found out that he had invited the person in charge of cleaning the offices to such an important meeting instead of one of the company's executives? Taylor was well aware that his decision was risky, but he was convinced that no entrepreneur could succeed unless he is willing to take risks. He liked Sophia and felt more at ease, even confident around her. Second, he was aware of her background as an economics student and had seen how she could give sound advice. Taylor went to Sophia with that plan in mind and made the offer. The cleaning lady's eyes widened, and she was deafeningly quiet. It was a completely unexpected request for her, but she smiled in the end, thinking that the whole thing would appear to be one of those scams that happen in movies. Sophia was not exactly sure she should attend the meeting, but because her friend needed help, she agreed. They rehearsed the meeting every day after that, debating what proposals they would make and how they would behave, both to persuade the man of the administrative plans and to actually appear like husband and wife. It was an opportunity for Taylor and Sophia to become even closer. The spark of previous interest in each other evolved into a situation of veiled desire. They both wanted to make it happen, but neither of them made the first move. They remained focused on the main mission. When the day of the meeting arrived, the couple went to the pre-arranged restaurant. Taylor wore the best suit he had in his closet, and used a company grant to buy Sophia a very modern dress. They sat down with Mr. and Mrs. Olafsson and began chatting. Mr. Olafsson's wife was animated and funny, but Mr. Olafsson was serious and had almost no sense of humor. Taylor was clearly nervous about the situation, almost breaking out in cold sweat. Sophia took the initiative in drawing attention to herself. Taylor calmed down when he noticed Olafsson was interested in the conversation with his friend pretending to be his wife. Sophia would occasionally take Taylor's hand in to keep the roles alive. The young director admired this woman even more now. This increased his confidence, and he immediately began the business conversation after the waiter took their orders. Olafsson's toughness appeared to be broken, as he agreed to the proposals and yet made no demands. Olafsson even complimented the wit of his future business partner's wife during dinner and inquired about the young wife's role in the company. Sophia claimed that she was only acting as her husband's backstop, and so she avoided getting into a fix by praising Taylor's leadership of the company. Olafsson laughed and said that the young woman didn't have to be so modest. After all, in business, everyone knows that there is always a great woman next to a great man. And so, at the end of the dinner, Mr. Olafsson agreed to sign a cooperation treaty between the two companies. The young couple was overjoyed that they had been able to resolve the entire situation. Taylor had no idea there was one more surprise in store. Mr. Albert personally went to the subsidiary in Texas 2 days after the dinner, where he had not set foot since his son took over management. When the president learned of the business deal's success, he couldn't believe it and wanted to know how a recent graduate had managed to double down on such an experienced and conservative businessman as Olafsson. Taylor welcomed his father with open arms, hoping that this was a visit to congratulate him on his success. He even introduced Sophia to his father, referring to her as his good luck charm. But Albert didn't even pay attention to the young woman or hug his son. He was furious that his son had taken the girl with him and, moreover, lied to an influential businessman. Albert was raising his voice and, once again, had nothing to say about his son's accomplishments, only pointing out flaws and finding ways to criticize the young director. Taylor raised his hand and said, perhaps for the first time in his life, in a firm, resounding voice, "Enough! Stop it right now!" Albert was taken aback because he had never been interrupted by his son before. Taylor then stated that he had endured enough pain. "I know you can't see what I've done or where I've gotten to. You've set traps for me and I've escaped them all, but you still act as I'm not good enough. Nevertheless, I love and respect you," Taylor stated. "I appreciate everything you've done for me, and it's fine if you only have harsh words for me. But I'm not going to let you talk about Sophia like that." Taylor then took the woman's hand in his and faced his father as sternly as he could. He declared that Sophia would be his wife, and he would not allow anyone to say anything to her that she did not deserve to hear. He also stated that Carmen had spent all those years married to Albert, forced to endure that man's cold heart, but that he, Taylor, would not follow his father's example with this woman. Albert wanted to say something, but the words wouldn't come out of his mouth. Like so many other times, he felt guilty and sorry. Will he be able to act in accordance with his inner self this time? "Say something!" exclaimed Taylor, demanding a position from the man. Albert then sobbed and let the tears fall. In an outpouring of emotions, he apologized to his son and hugged him. Finally, Albert felt relieved. Taylor was perplexed, having been caught off guard once more, but he responded to his father's embrace. Sophia's mother was operated on by competent surgeons in Houston in the following months and recovered quickly, in time to attend all of her daughter's wedding preparations to Taylor. Sophia resumed her studies at the university after the ceremony until she graduated. Taylor retained his position as CEO of his family's subsidiary company, and Albert never doubted his abilities again. After more than 2 decades, father and son finally had a genuine relationship. If you enjoyed this story, I ask you to please leave a like, and this other video that is appearing on the screen now will probably move you as well. Have a good day and see you in the next video.